Excited to have Jennifer Elliott here with us today. She is an academic technology consultant. I think I got that right, with our Wake Forest IS team. And she is going to share some really great insights about NotebookLM. And I think you're going to love this session. You're going to walk away with some tangibles that you can put into practice immediately. We will have the chat enabled, so if you have questions, please, you can text the chat and we'll address questions. And then she's also going to address some questions at the end, but I'll let Jennifer take it away.
Everybody, thanks for having me. I am here in the law school. I work with the faculty on really how to teach well and do that with technology. So I've spent the last part of the last year really focused on AI tools for learning, both for students and for faculty and for administrators. So I hope that you'll walk away today with some tools that you can put into use immediately. If you've done any experimenting with AI, you know that sometimes it can be more frustrating than it is beneficial for you. So hopefully this one will not be that way for you. I'm going to share my screen and get started. I'm not going to be monitoring the chat, but Carrie will. So if you have an immediate question, you can throw it in there or raise your hand. And I will also answer questions at the end if you have those. Thanks for having me. Okay. Well, I have 3 monitors, so sometimes when I'm presenting, it can be a little much. So talking about NotebookLM from Google, and here in the law school or at Wake Forest, we actually all have access to that. It is a free tool if you are not at Wake Forest, and there are 2 levels of accounts. So you can have the free version, and then there is the plus version, and I'll talk a little bit about the differences between those as we get started. So again, a free tool. This is AI powered with Gemini. It allows you to interact with content from a lot of different formats. So it might be a website, it could be a video, it could be a YouTube, lots of different ways that you can get sources into this tool. And then you can query it the same way you might with a chat GPT. So I think that you'll find the interface is really user-friendly. And while it does things that you can do with other chat tools, it is, I think, the all-in-one space and organization of it makes it a really easy tool to take advantage of. So if you have the free version, it will allow you to upload up to 50 sources. If you have the paid version, it will let you upload 300 sources. I believe the word limit on each of those sources is 500,000 words. So you can really put in quite a bit of content here. It can summarize those things. It can create an FAQ for you. It can create study guides or timelines. And then it can create an audio overview or generate a podcast that I'll demo for you today. So if you haven't had a chance, you could go ahead and open this up and kind of go along with me while I walk you through this, or you can just watch here and see how it works. And then you're just going to sign in with your Google credentials. So this is my landing page when I sign in, and as you can see, I do have a Plus account. And the first thing you'll notice is that any notebooks that you have created are here. If you'd like to create a new notebook, you're going to click on Create New, and you should have an interface that looks something like this. I'm going to switch over to the free account so that it will hopefully look the same for you. And I've put in a sample here. I'm getting ready to go to Ireland, so I've been doing a little research on what's happening over there and the history. So I did a little notebook on that here. So create new, it's going to open up your interface, and you should have 3 panels. Sometimes it defaults to another view. If your view has one whole page, you should have a little button up here that you can either collapse this so you see all this in the middle, or you can do it this way. So for the purpose of our demo today, I'm going to keep it in the 3-pane version so that you can follow along with me. The first thing that you'll notice on the left-hand side is your sources. And in order to add a source, oh, that's somebody coming in here. You click on Add a Source. You can upload files, and so if you'll notice here, you can upload a PDF, text, markdown. You can also upload an audio file. So if you're somebody who uses like voice memos or anything like that, you can add those here to query later for yourself. Additionally, you're going to see that you have the option to upload from Google Docs or Google Slides. One important thing to note is that if you're uploading from either of those, it's going to create a static copy. So if you upload a slideshow and you have made changes in your Google Drive, those are not going to be reflected unless you resync that here. You can also choose to link to a website. You can also upload YouTube videos. The way that it works for YouTube is it takes the transcript of those videos and brings in all of the written content around them. So it doesn't actually bring in the video itself, but it brings in the transcript of the video. If you're using a website, another important note is this is only going to take from the front page. So if you were to, if you wanted a website that has multiple pages, and I imagine they'll probably improve this later, but right now you'd have to link each page that you want to take content from. And then lastly, you can copy text. So that could be copied from any format that you like. So I've already brought in my sources here, which are PDF documents. And what you'll notice is that in the center, this is a chat. And so this is going to be the same kind of window you're going to have for a Chat GPT or Claude or Perplexity or anything else. So here I can start to ask questions of the sources that I've uploaded. So I could say, let's see, what were the best labor practices? I'm not even going to answer the whole question. We'll just do this. And this might not even be a good question. I have another one set up for you to follow this way. So what you're going to get here in the chat is the response to your query. But the important thing to note is that for every piece of information that you have here, it's going to link to the actual place in your sources that this came from. So I can actually click to this, and it's going to show me exactly where that data came from. So as you can imagine, if you're trying to learn about something or reference something, put together any kind of briefing or other document, this would be really valuable to be able to point directly to the place in your documents where you brought in a particular idea or concept or question. Also on your sources, if you click on any of the sources, it's going to open exactly that, and it's also going to provide a summary. Additionally, you'll notice that the sources here are checked. I can check or uncheck any of them that I want to query. So maybe I just wanted to draw from certain chapters here. I can just leave those checked or uncheck the ones that I want to use or don't want to use. When you have your output here, you're going to lose this when you close the notebook. So each time you make a query, it will come up in this space. But in order to save this for the next time, you need to save it to a note. And that's going to land you over here in the studio. So that will stay there for the next time that you open your notebook. Things that are auto-generated in Google Notebook are a study guide, some use cases for this, one thing that I've used this for is understanding AI legislation. So I'll actually enter the entire piece of legislation, and then I use things like the study guide or the briefing to help me understand really what it's trying to say and or what might be the parts of that legislation that that might hold people up. So I just click study guide, and then you're going to see I have this entire set of questions along with an answer key. So if you're trying to quiz yourself, this is a good tool to use for that. Additionally, you'll notice at the bottom there is the option to convert to a source. So if I were to click this, that's going to add it to my list of sources on the left-hand side. I might also decide I don't really like this and I can just delete it. You can create a briefing. And of course, this is thousands of pages that are uploaded here. And so to get a briefing this quickly is pretty powerful. And again, I might convert this to a source or delete it if I don't want to do anything with it. You can also create a timeline. I'm going to introduce you very briefly to a couple of other tools here today that I'm not going to go into any kind of depth with, but I'll give you the links to those. And if those are tools that you'd like to learn more about later, you can give us that feedback. So I'm going to take a look at the timeline that I've created here. And I'm going to copy this. And then here is a free tool called Napkin AI. And I'm going to create a new napkin. And I'm going to paste my timeline into napkin. It's a terrible name. What you'll find here is that it gives you, on the left-hand side, the ability to take this content and it will turn it immediately into a graphic. And so you can choose the kind of graphic that you might want this to look like. And then you're able also to change the graphic styles and or anything else to customize it for yourself. So if you've got a presentation coming up and you want to do a quick graphic, this is a really great tool for that.
Thank you.
Is there a question? Let's go back to our notebook. I'm going to close this out. So one of the most amazing things about this tool is the audio overview. And the audio overview takes whatever sources you've selected and it creates a two-person podcast. That's pretty awesome. The one thing that you'll notice here is this customize button. So I wanted to maybe focus on someone who knows nothing about the Irish history of Ireland. Maybe I want to focus on geopolitics from this book. I can query this and have the podcast itself be focused in a particular way. So I would type in what I wanted to focus on and then I would click generate. And I'm going to go back over to one that I've already created so that you can see. It will take usually like 5 to 7 minutes sometimes to render. So I've got one ready for you that you can take a look at. Maybe. So this is a notebook that I have created on machine learning. And you'll notice here that it no longer asks me to customize because I've already created the audio overview. So I'm going to click the load button. Sometimes this is a little slow if I'm sharing my screen, so I hope you'll bear with me. So this is my audio overview, and I'm going to make sure that you've got enough volume to hear this.
All right, ready to dive into some machine learning.
Sounds fun.
I know, right? Though I gotta admit, machine learning, it does kind of sound like something out of a sci-fi flick, you know?
Yeah, it can definitely have that kind of ring to it.
But the thing is, it's not some futuristic fantasy anymore. It's already here, woven into so much of our everyday lives. It's not robots taking over the world, at least not yet.
Right. Think about it, like that spam filter that saves your inbox from like total meltdown, or how about those kind of spooky, accurate recommendations that pop up when you're shopping online?
Yeah.
It's machine learning, just quietly doing its thing in the background.
So This is an 18-minute podcast. Depending on the amount of content you have, it could be anywhere from 4 minutes to I've seen as much as 30 minutes. You don't currently have control over the language. Everything is in English right now. You don't have control over the personality or the voice types, but there's a beta in that happening right now where you would be able to choose the voices of the avatars. You also can't change the content once it's created. So it's going to auto-generate this, and it may or may not have all the components that you want. And I think you can get closer to the things you want by using that customized feature before you generate the audio overview.
Jennifer,
If you
there's
have,
some good
yeah,
questions in the chat.
right,
Can you hear me?
yes, go
There's
ahead.
some good questions in the chat about copyright issues, like if you inputted a book or some intellectual property that then generated a podcast. Do you know anything about copyright issues or confidentiality, privacy?
So nothing in Google Notebook leaves the environment. It's a closed environment. I also, in case I did not point out, Google Notebook does not bring in any sources from outside. So unlike ChatGPT or Claude or anything else, it's not querying the internet or any other place. It's literally just taking from the content that you have uploaded. In terms of copyright, this is still a really muddy area. And so, yes, you need to think about fair use. You need to think about what permissions you have to use the data that you have uploaded, particularly if you are sharing that in any format. Of course, for fair use, if you're thinking about this in a classroom, that gives you a lot more latitude than, for example, using this for a business or for-profit entity. Do you have another question?
I think that covered it. That
Okay.
was great.
So the thing I want to draw your attention to now in the Plus version, got some folks coming in, is the interactive mode. And so the interactive mode is going to be the playing of the audio overview.
All right, ready to dive into some machine learning.
Sounds fun.
And it's going to start from the
You'll get a
beginning.
bit. Machine learning, it does kind of sound like, well, something out of a sci-fi flick, you know?
Yeah, it can definitely have that kind of ring to it.
But the thing is, it's not some futuristic fantasy anymore.
Oh, hey, our listener wants to join in. What's up?
Oh, hey, I was just wondering if you could tell me what is an algorithm?
That's a great question.
Yeah, let's unpack this.
At its most basic, an algorithm is just a set of instructions.
Like a recipe.
Exactly. Think about following instructions to assemble furniture.
Or even simpler, tying your shoes.
Algorithms are everywhere, guiding computers and even us.
Okay, that makes way more sense.
Now, where were we?
Yeah.
That's machine learning, just quietly doing its thing in the background.
So as you can see now, with the ability to interact, you can actually ask questions of the audio overview that has been generated from the sources that you have uploaded. I think that this is going to transform before too long, and I would imagine that you'll be able to really customize the audio overview in a way that you cannot right now. So I think we'll look forward to seeing what we get from that.
And there's another question from Stephanie G. Stephanie, feel free to chime in if you want. She had asked about the images that were created. Are those able to be used like for commercial purposes externally? Probably the images, I think, from Napkin.
Yes, so Napkin is just taking any content that you have and creating a visual for it. So you can use that however you like, as long as you have, of course, access to the data that you're uploading. So if you can think about maybe creating a presentation or a brief to a board or something like that, and you want to dump your content in, it can help you then create a visual to go along with that. It's a pretty simple use case there. Did that answer your question? Okay. Let's hope so. I'm gonna go back over here. Thank you for bearing with me as we switch through. One of the things that I discovered along my learning journey here is something that you all might find beneficial, and it is 1,000 marketing and productivity prompts. So one of the important things that you'll find, whether you're querying in Google Notebook or any other LLM, is prompting can really matter and really affect, of course, what you get back as an output. I will share this document with you. It is free through HubSpot, which I can share, and you can give them your name and email, or you can just copy from mine. So this is a free tool that you would probably get a lot of mileage from, especially as you start to experiment with different LLM models. So I wanted you to think about this idea that what we have here is obviously in English, but we can use multiple tools and we can translate into other languages. There's one that is a very quick one, DeepL. So you can type in the content here and then you can translate into whatever language it is that you want and copy and paste that. Again, I will share the links for all of these with you. There is another tool called HeyGen. And HeyGen is an avatar creation tool that allows you to create content based from text. You can translate it into, last I checked, it was more than 60 languages, but it will create a video avatar that can share this information. So let's say we've found something in Google Notebook, we've created something we really love, and we want to create a presentation about whatever it is we've learned. Maybe we want to take this summary. HeyGen will allow you to copy and paste that content, and then it will generate a video avatar. So you can choose an avatar. There are lots to choose from. I just happened to click on this one. Lots of avatars, lots of backgrounds. What I don't have here is the space where I have created my own avatar. So by uploading a 15-second literally clip of yourself, you can create your own avatar. And so maybe you are delivering a training to your company. Maybe you are sending some messaging out to your company and maybe you want in another language. So I'm going to give you just a demo of what that looks like and explain to you how this works. Let me bring it in here. And so you'll see this content is based on a 15-second video of myself. This year in AI, we have been talking about all kinds of things, from ethics to how to work better, faster, more efficiently. We've been taking the time to explore the way that we can use tools in our everyday work, the way that we can connect with others using AI, the way that we need to think about how we will use this to teach our students. So, in case it is not clear, that is not me. I did not say those words. That is not a video of me at all. That is completely generated by pasting this text into HeyGen after giving it a 15-second video clip of myself. So the next thing that I want you to see is this. Vous avez déjà entendu parler d'un deepfake, mais que vous n'en avez jamais vu, c'est désormais chose faite. Nous avons l'obligation éthique envers nos étudiants de les aider à comprendre les possibilités et les pièges potentiels du travail avec l'IA. I do not speak French. So this is purely created by pasting that text and then choosing my output language as French. This tool continues to get better, and if you have done any studying of AI videos, and if you've been into any of our intro courses, you'll notice that one of the things it doesn't do well is hands. And so I suggest that if you are videoing yourself to create some of these things, that maybe you keep your gestures small so that your weird hands don't show up in the picture. Obviously, there are tells here for someone who's looking, but this can also be a really effective way to maybe talk about your product or your business in another country. Maybe to start to build diplomacy for, rolling out something in a language that you don't actually speak. So there's a lot of potential here. And if this is a tool that you wanted to learn more about, we could revisit that later. But I just wanted to give you sort of a quick introduction to show you how you might take something that's in Google Notebook and then find a way to put it into another language and or create a presentation from that. Any questions right now?
I do have a question, Jennifer. This is Kate Calder. So can you talk again about kind of the start of the use here? Because about the sources. So you have to have content that you're adding to this notebook. It doesn't just, you can't just type in a prompt in the chat without having any sources on the left. Is that right?
Correct. So the whole premise of Google Notebook is that it is giving you the opportunity to interact with content that you have uploaded here. And so in order to add a source, if you missed it, you just click on Add Source. You can upload, and for those of you that came in a little bit after we started, one important thing to note here is that, for example, if you take audio notes for yourself, maybe you've been attending a conference all week, you've been taking notes for yourself, you can actually upload those here. And then you can create, the summary, the briefing, FAQ, etc. But you can also start asking questions of that for yourself. So maybe you want to go through the week's events that you've uploaded and you want to focus on, were there any analyses of employee relations that, I don't know, XYZ. And so you can query that audio file that maybe you've created for yourself and or you've brought in from another audio source. So if you wanted to add a Google Doc, you would just click here and choose the document that you want, and then you'd be able to upload that. Additionally, if you wanted to bring in Google Slides, so maybe you've done a board presentation, you have a whole set of slides, maybe you have a year's worth of slides that you've presented, and you have maybe you have the audio transcripts from those meetings as well. Maybe you've used Zoom to collect what happened and overviews of those meetings. This is a way for you to put all of that in one place and then query that data. And for those who may have missed, if you choose a website, it's only going to actually take from the web page. So you have to enter the pages separately. I don't anticipate we'll do that forever, but for right now, it won't take the additional pages. Is that clear?
It is clear. I'm trying to think about how I would be using this tool, and most of the time I would be writing prompts for things I don't even know. I don't have anywhere to start, and so I don't think I'd have source documents. But perhaps I can do that linking with the websites and just start putting in a few websites as the initial source, and then build from there.
Kate, can you give me an example of something that you might?
Like similar to your legislation example, maybe I want to know about a certain regulation and I don't know anything about it. So I guess I could go do a Google search for like regulation R and then put a web page into the tool for it to create content for me. Otherwise, I'd be like trying to ask the AI, like summarize regulation R for me. Something like that.
Okay, can I get this if I Google it? Okay, So I'm going to take this page. I love this live demo. Let me get back to let me close this and create a new notebook. So I'm going to add the source, and I'm going to paste this URL here. So I'm immediately going to get, this high level summary of Regulation R. So what's a question we might want to ask?
What are the implications for trust companies? Okay.
And so it's going to give you this output. This also, you can continue to kind of drill down if it's not giving you exactly what you want. You should not have hallucinations in Google Notebook, but you do want to make sure that it's accurate. And so I think with any AI tool, caveat emptor and make sure that what you are looking at is in fact fact. And please don't put it in front of a judge. True
Noted.
story, happening over and over again. Yikes. And so, Katie, if we wanted to, then let's just click on this first source, and it's gonna talk to me about what this is, but then here's the exact place in the source where that came from. So it should be very clearly linked. You shouldn't have like wild tales. I do think that the deep dive conversation is, you won't have wild tales, but it tends to be a little more high level. And I haven't done enough experimenting to see kind of how targeted you can make that conversation. So I will keep you posted if I learn more about that.
And Jennifer, I have a question with to Kate's point with with the audio overview, is the deep dive conversation the only way that it'll spit out audio?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
Do you
that's
see that
just kind of,
changing?
what's that?
Do you see that changing? And
Yes.
yes, okay.
There's already a beta version of being able to change the characters because obviously they are two white Americans and people would like to have a more representative set of voices. I asked Google because I thought, in terms of thinking about tools like Hey Jen, in my mind, it seems like the next logical place after being able to customize the avatars would be that you could use your own voice. They said no, but I'm not sure I believe them. I think they'll do that eventually. So the deep dive conversation is what it is. Once you have generated the conversation, you can download that and you can use it wherever you like. And again, back to copyright implications, you do need to think about the sources that you're using for that material and the ways in which you might be using that audio output. There's a pretty wide, there are lots of lawsuits happening right now that are still kind of to be determined around what copyright really means in the age of AI. And so, could it be that you argue the audio overview is a new product and then exempt from that copyright, perhaps? But everything's sort of still very muddy around those things.
Hey, Jennifer, this is Mike. I had a question. You alluded to the differences between kind of the free version and the pro. Mainly, you talked about the number of sources that you can put in each notebook, as well as maybe that interactive piece within the deep dive conversation. Are there any other major differences
There are
at
really
this point?
not.
Okay.
And so the interaction is the big one. And you used to have the pro version to customize, but now that's part of the free version also. So I just think, as time goes on, the free version just becomes more robust.
And what about the number of notebooks that you could have? And then another question I have is there any way to get a transcription of the audio that you create? Like, let's say you have 10 questions you want to get out of the source and you want the audio to do it. Can you get a transcript of that?
So you can download the audio. Let me think about this. if I download the audio file, I'm trying to think of what format it brings it in. Let me see. Let's go into one of mine. Oh, I don't have that one. Hold on. Bear with me.
Hey, this is John Keane. I have a manual way you could do that, but we'll wait and see how this goes.
Yeah, so there are multiple ways that you might take the audio file and generate the transcript, and you could actually use an LLM for that. But I think that you might be able to do that here. Let me see if I have this in my notes. Let me just go to my machine learning. So I'm going to download this. Sorry, I have my thing. It's so little now. All right, let's see if I can. I don't think I can.
All right, ready to dive into
I'm
some
just gonna
machine
open
learning.
it.
Sounds fun.
I know, right? Though I gotta admit, machine learning,
I can't add it as a source. John, what was your solution?
I mean, it's manual, but it would work. You could actually set up either your iPhone or something to record it and then upload it to Otter AI and say, hey, make a transcription of this.
Yeah.
And what if you just ask the chatbot here, say, hey, how do we get transcription of the thing you did? It may not have that awareness, but you never know. Did you find a file? Did you find one that
I've got the WAV file.
Okay. I think you can upload that to Otter AI and Otter AI will do it.
I'm not sure if it'll take this. It does take a lot of different formats. And I have an FAQ with a lot of this information in it that I can share with you. It'll take MP3. Yeah, okay. There we go. Let's see what it says. There's your transcription.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah. In terms of like we were talking about the differences, like the price for Plus, is that kind of institution by institution, or is there kind of a rate that's out there?
I do not know the pricing because I have it through my role. And so we don't have Plus as an institution. So I'm sorry, I don't have any information for you on that.
I have a little info. I went to my co-working space last night and a buddy came up and said, man, thank you so much for NotebookLM. I've been using it all the time. And he's a videographer. And so I was like, dude, it's only 50 limit. He's like, oh no, I got the Pro. And I think the Pro is 200. Most things are 200, but
It's 300.
Yeah, 300. No, that's the source. I think the cost is around 200, I believe.
Oh, 200.
But he's been doing this documentary on and off for years, and he's uploading all of it. It's separating it out into like subtitles and audio, and then it's finding different pieces of conversations, and it's blowing him away. I had no idea this use case. I was just like telling all my friends and clients about NotebookLM for months, and I'm really appreciative you're doing this because it's just, and it's free. So it's just the best tool.
So if you can imagine, taking a whole set of videos that you have in YouTube, as long as you have it in YouTube, then it has auto generated, excuse me, a transcript. And so you can begin to query those videos here. And so maybe you're looking for patterns across, I don't know what it might be, but you could, be querying a set of videos that maybe are seemingly unrelated, but have some common thread about them.
Dawn, you want to ask your question? John had asked a question here. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, no, I got that. Yeah, these are great, and I love the napkin and the HubSpot thing. Is there anything, if we run out of time, not run out of time, but if we have a few minutes and either you or the group's able to share, hey, here's this other tool I'm using and it's really great and whatever. But I like that napkin. Yeah, it's a weird name, but
I know, right?
Napkin, and then it does a graphic. Are you kidding me? That's so great.
Yeah. Here you go.
Thanks.
Oh, wait.
So Jennifer, I also have some more stuff, questions related to prompting and
Mhm.
if they're like, so for my role, and I'm an equity research analyst, so I can pull in 10Ks, Qs, transcripts of calls from companies. And what I find myself doing is asking similar questions of the various companies. Is there a way to almost save those prompts so that as soon as that material comes out quickly, that I don't have to go in and kind of retype them. I know there's like the save to note, the save note, add note, but like just in terms of like cataloging general prompts and having them spit out answers, is there an easy way to do that?
Not without just saving to note. So there, it doesn't keep a history here in Notebook, and I think that would be a great feature for it to have. But if you save to note, you will have that prompt. Um, I'm trying to think if you could sort of, the other thing you can do is add a note. So if you wanted to add those prompts here, you can save that, and maybe it's like little prompts. The other thing is if you made cool prompts and convert it to a source, it's going to go over here. And I don't know how you could do that. Well, yeah. So if you make make it a note, move it to your sources, then it's going to list those here. So you could have the ability to copy and paste if that is any more efficient for you.
Great.
Would that be helpful?
I think so. I think I need to play around. But yeah, you gave me some ideas to go off of. Thanks.
Can I
And
chime in with a suggestion?
yeah, great.
My buddy who turned me on to NotebookLM months ago, he's his Obsidian and he's all about Markdown. We haven't talked about Markdown today.
Yes.
But how do we mark it down, give it to this tool? So Mike or Michael, whoever's saying it, I'd probably keep it in Obsidian or OneNote or something else, and then just bring it in for the different call. I mean, until some of the enhancements that Jennifer's talking about come in, I would probably just keep it offline, in Obsidian or another tool, have it in Markdown so it's nice and clean. It's basically like text, and then just drop it in. So there's a little bit of effort, but you're going to probably have multiple notebooks for the different equities you're looking at. So
Great, thanks.
One thing that I did not share, that I usually share, let me get this closed out, is you can have this create tables for you.
Mhm.
So you can take, we took all the Supreme Court cases from 1973 on and asked it to create a table of each ruling, all of the judges, which way they ruled, what was happening at the SEC at the time, like all of this into one table, and it does it in seconds. So when you think about taking a large body of information and trying to put it together, you can create a table. So let's do, let's see, I have one right here. I put those links in. I hope they work. I couldn't paste them all at once. Come on, Zoom. Let's
And
see.
we'll follow up with all those links in our follow-up email. So everybody on the call doesn't need to worry. We'll send those out.
And I did just share with you the Google FAQ. That is last updated in January. So it is what it is for right now. It changes every day. So there's just a little more detail in that document for you, but oh no. Okay, hang on. Oh, sorry, it's on School of Law. Let me give it to anyone with the link. Okay, try again. Okay, while you're doing that, I'm gonna say, make me a table of the best use cases for each kind of machine learning and who would benefit most from each. And with the Supreme Court example, I was able to export that table into a both Excel and a Google Sheet. So you can really do some, cool things here in that way too. Okay, good. Y'all got that. Is there any, or do you guys have any other examples you want to try out here?
Now, I didn't know about tables, so that's really good because I think the other tools aren't great with ingesting tables. So we can create a table here. Could we bring a table in or a spreadsheet into this?
So Google Sheets is not one of the tools that you
Yeah.
can add as a source, but if you make it a PDF,
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
yep, you can bring it in that way.
cool. Thank you.
What about like images of things like maybe a screenshot and then you get it to populate either like a Word doc or a Excel table or something like that?
So I have seen someone create images from Notebook, which is pretty cool, but they're using other tools for that. I don't think that you can do anything with an image here. And oh, the one thing I also forgot to tell you though is you can upload handwritten documents. So if you take notes on your iPad or on paper, God forbid, you can actually upload those here too. And that's pretty robust. But in terms of images, I don't think there is a way for it to take those in at this point. And based on the whole YouTube workflow, I don't think that I have a hard time seeing how they would be able to bring in images that you could actually interact with.
Jennifer, any other points we need to cover or any other questions from the group?
Sure, I have a question. I mean, NotebookLM is great, and it seems like everybody's wild about AI agents, and so I don't know if there's an overlap with this. I mean, and even AI agents are getting blurry as far, and it's just amazing every day. But yeah, if there's no other questions, else are you researching besides this? What are you excited about, or what do you think? Who are some writers? I love Ethan Malik. I read his book a few times. I listen to him every day, or when he's posting multiple times on LinkedIn, and so it's just an exciting time. It's like the whole internet just got recreated times a million. And so, what are some things that you pay attention to most days that we should be paying attention to?
Well, every day I vacillate between this is the most amazing thing ever and the world is ending. It is, if you start thinking about, sustainability and other parts of this, that is one thing I think about a lot. And there have been some ideas about how we can use compute and other ways to perhaps begin to reduce the footprint. But that's something I think about law school. Of course, my job is to help faculty teach with technology. And so I think a lot about the ways in which they can use that, but I sort of put frames around that. Like, are you going to use this as a tool, a utility, something that helps you make lessons better, faster, easier? Or are you going to use this as a tool to teach with? So I have a faculty member here who puts in her student content. Of course, it's all in a private mode and it's de-identified, but she searches for themes across their work, and that lets her know whether or not she's teaching the right thing or not. What are people getting? And then she adjusts her teaching based on what she learns through that process. And then there is the part of helping students actually use this. And so I have a faculty member in the law school who has used actually Google NotebookLM, and they've put in sources, and then they have had their students go through and analyze the outputs and find out what does it do well, what does it not? Are they getting everything right, or do they leave out something really important? One example we did in a workshop here was, this has been last summer, and so at that time we were using ChatGPT and it was a year behind in where the data came from. And so we were asking it about a particular set of cases, and it omitted this ginormous Supreme Court decision that had just come down 2 weeks earlier that changed everything. And so helping students understand what are the strengths, what are the ways in which they can really do something that is useful with this, and what are the limitations? What are the places that you really need to use your own brain here and not rely on this and think about perhaps even, these attorneys who have put forth briefs with hallucinations in them who are now paying literally thousands of dollars for those mistakes. For tools, though, I will say that I go back and forth between trying a lot and then kind of focusing on one and or a couple, because I just think that it's kind of endless, what you can and cannot do. And so I try to think about what's valuable for me, myself, in my own role, the faculty that I work with, and then the students that they will be teaching.
You know offhand if students are using this for study guides where they're putting in all their notes, putting all their cases, and then generating the study guide and the summaries or podcasts, or not yet?
I don't know if students are using it. I hope they are.
Yeah.
It's a really great tool. And the other cool feature about this is that if you are a professor, you can create your own notebook using all of your slides, all of your docs, everything from your course. And then you can share that with your students. So the one thing is, if you have shared a notebook, for example, if I share with you my notebook with the audio overview is static in that instance. And so whoever I've shared it with won't be able to interact. They won't be able to do the interact feature for that.
Your clients love hearing about themselves, especially if you feed it the right source. They're like, oh, are you kidding?
Right?
Blows me away.
The source that makes you the king. Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I want to go ahead and say thank you to Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all of this. We'll make sure to follow up with all of the sources that she talked about, and we'll also send a survey. So please give us feedback, because we're always looking to offer new sessions and love feedback.